morning. My name's Rusty Dormeyer, and we're here in Medical Lake, Washington, a suburb of Spokane, next to Fairchild Air Force Base. And what we want to do today is introduce you to how we install the LuckyTrucker seal. The beauty of this product is it does not herniate. When it's properly installed, the load becomes its own seal. So when you load this, it deforms and deforms and deforms, and all of a sudden we can cover plus or minus an inch in irregularity between the two surfaces. When you unload it, the resilient plastic memory brings it back into its original configuration. This is our soft product. It is made primarily for agricultural products, basically anything but heavy aggregate and asphalt. Our orange product is designed primarily for asphalt and heavy, tough aggregate. And this, after 3 years, it mic'd out at 10% wear with no tear-offs. And it's more difficult to compress, and that's because we order the plastic made to withstand the heat of asphalt. And our manufacturer manufactures this to our specifications and gives us consistent quality. We never have had a piece that we had to reject. So we pay a little more, but you get a lot more. And so your product will come in a roll, in a box. It will have the attachment banding. If you have ordered if you have a diagonal application, you will have 4 pieces. 2 of them, of course, make a square corner. And if you have a square corner application like what we are going to do today, you'll have 2 pieces. Everything is simply doweled together. But you don't have to go to town and buy screws. You don't have to go to town and buy drill bits. You don't have to go back to town and buy drivers. And you don't have to go to town and buy end plugs. And if you need an extra screw or 2 that's long for a corner, sometimes they're difficult, guess what? It's here. So we try to make this a one-stop shop where you can actually put this in the field. If you have an electric impact screwdriver, a set of shears, a miter box, guess what? You can put this in the field. And this is an application which I want to show. These are 2 diagonals. You can have a diagonal that large. Or quite often we run into 4-inch diagonals on the corner of the bed. And so what we will do is we will take that 4-inch diagonal and cut this from point to point to be 4, cutting it in the middle, netting 2 respective 2-inch pieces. We simply put them together, and then we will run our banding right to this. We will run our banding when the time comes. We will run the banding right together to the point, and it fixes perfectly. So when you buy your product from LuckyTrucker, we try to take all the misery out of it and deliver the product with everything you need to put the product on. We deliberately chose this truck for this installation because it has most of the challenges, if not all the challenges you'll meet putting on these seals. This is a well-used truck. So let me show you what we're going to do. It's like building a house. If the foundation is off, guess what? The rest of it's off. So preparation of the surface is as important as the seal. So let's take a peek and see what we did. In the interest of time, we started on this a day ago, and you'll see this weld rib here, this seam, it extended clear to the end. Well, we don't want our product to have that kind of a gap in it, so we simply ground this off. We did the same on the bottom. You'll see it has a rib here and it had a weld seam. So what we've done is try to smooth this planar surface up from top to bottom. The bottom is full of irregularities. They really don't scare us. That's where the seal goes to work and proves its worth, because it conforms to the irregularities between the floor and the gate. Before I go up there, make sure your gate is down, your gate is closed and latched, and everything is secure before you go up, because this needs to be tight when we apply the seal. Okay, the corners come welded, and they will have a weld mold mark on them, which needs to be removed. We try to remove them sometimes, but sometimes they get out. They're shipped out and they aren't removed. So you can trim them with a knife. In this case, we are going to grind it down there with a little portable grinder, or you can use a bench grinder. But what we're going to do is clean this area off, and it's particularly important that this area here be clean for the last inch. And most importantly, the back side, because this goes against the gate. You could actually leave this, it would do nothing, but the back and the end need to come off. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is put in the corners. Now remember, we've prepped the truck. And this truck is no different than a lot of trucks. Most people load on the left side, they pull up to the front loader, the loader dumps it in. So guess what? One side is perpendicular and square, and this other side is not. It is bowed somewhat. This is an old truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to compensate for the plus 90-degree corner. And if there's one thing, if I were to put this application in one sentence, the bottom line is you want this product firmly, snugly, with about 10 pounds of pressure against the sidewalls and the bottom. If you have done that, you have pretty much put the product in right. So what we're going to do is we're going to fudge a little bit. We're going to give this a slice right down the center so that we will be able to spread this a little bit and compensate for the over 90 corner. Okay, we have taken the dowel. You'll receive approximately a foot of doweling. We've cut it into 2-inch sections, and we're going to put it in to tie in the other portion. Okay, so now we're ready to go, and we are going to measure between this surface and the same surface on the other side. And remember, we're going to add a 1/4 inch to that to affect a sidewall pressure. And my measurement is right at 69.5 inches. So we're going to make it 69 3/4 inches on our center piece. So now we're going to put a knife or a sharp object in the dowel, because we don't want the dowel to push through to either side. So our next step is to measure our banding, and normally we will measure from this top point here in the corner to the same point on the far corner. But because of the irregularities in this gate, which is probably the worst we've seen, we're going to cut it long and leave the other end open until we get there, because these irregularities will cause the band to have to actually be longer than the product. Okay, we have our first screw set. We didn't run it in tight because we want to be able to move the banding a little bit as we go. We'll come back and stitch it up tighter.
You put it on my...
And so what we're doing is we're collapsing this bulb down, the downward force over this really rough edge of the tailgate, and we collapse it by pushing the bulb down. And then we'll come back and sew this in. We're basically tacking it in.
Okay.
At this point, we have the seal basically tacked in. We haven't sewn in all the other holes. We put them in every 4, 5, or 6 holes. And so what we want to do now is build some air, pop the gate open, and make sure that we haven't put this down too tight, that it isn't too compressed against the floor of the truck. We want to make sure that the gate opens, closes, and latches properly. In the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and show you how we set the sidewalls, side pieces, and we'll come back and screw all the other screw in after the fact. So right now we're going to simply measure the distance from the product, the seal itself, to wherever we want to land on top. And we usually like to stay about an inch, approximately an inch below grade, so that it can't be hooked and torn or anything like that. You do break a few screws. Frequently you have to pre-drill where they have welded on it, and the metal is very hard. So we're going to end up pre-drilling a couple of these screws. Now we touch up the loose screws. And we'll go to the other side being the same. The only thing left on this whole installing is to put the end plugs in and sew out the screws. So that means it's Miller time. Thanks. This is a very, very popular type of trailer in that it has a hydraulic dump powered by electricity. You can pull it with your pickup, pull it without just about any kind of vehicle. Very popular, very practical vehicle. But they all leak. They're built to be tough, but they aren't built to have close tolerances on the doors. So therefore, when you use them, you leak sand, gravel, nails, screws, glass, anything you're hauling in tends to leak out the back, the bottom, and the sides. So this is our first saloon door application in one of these types of trailers. and we're quite impressed with it ourselves. It's a nice product. It has slick. It's built to shed product, not accumulate product. If perchance you do get material accumulating behind it for any given reason, you simply pop it. She's clean. If water freezes the seal, if you had rubber and you open the gate, the rubber will tear. This product will not tear. We have this on belly dumps, dump trucks, and roll-off containers, and now these utility trailers, and we're really happy with it because it's impervious to most chemical. It also resists the sunlight, doesn't break down. So far we've had these products out there for almost 5 years, and absolutely no problem. These particular shots are of the edges of the trailer after the installation and shows the kind of gaps that the LuckyTrucker seal fills. You can now go haul screen sand, just about anything you want, and not worry about leaks, buying windshields, or getting tickets.